It's got to be around those days. Kim knows what I said, right? When I ask you to make lunch plans, just make sure it's around the 15th and the 30th. Miss Weekly, who I report to, will kill.
Yeah.
So we have firework permit is new. And that's the only thing you had on there, right? 'Cause you had a bunch of other stuff.
It's just language about it.
Okay.
Just for your awareness, I put the note on there about this is for the season, not just this event.
Okay.
The online form originally only allowed one date, so
Okay. We'll let them
Zach
know it's for the football
confirmed,
season.
yeah. And I have updated the form on the website to allow additional dates.
Okay. And then you have this pulled up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have that PDF available whenever you're ready. It's just the one PDF, right?
Ready, John? You about ready?
Priority scale.
Alan, you're almost ready to, and you've got your recorder ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very well. Okay. All right, I'll call the Board of Supervisors meeting to order. As always, please join us with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Let the record show we do have a quorum with all members present. First order of business is the adoption of the agenda. I think, is there anything from the board that they want to add before we go to staff? Okay. You okay? So, Jonathan, I understand
We did have some late items that come in.
Okay.
We have a fireworks permit request by the athletic director. This would be for the football season. I know the last 2 years, the coach has applied for that, so apologies for that coming late. The application online only allows you to put a date. They are asking for the whole season, and generally that runs through, well, it'll start this Friday. Depending on how good they do, it could go into December, hopefully January, but the season, the football season is what they're requesting.
okay.
And then
That's
the-
8C.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And then Ms. Garveria, who may be here tonight, is the president of Madison Wood Preservers, or Madison Wood. I would like for the board to add under discussion, I guess you can call that 9F, so we don't mess up number 10. It has to do with alternative performance guarantees. Think about bonding and erosion and sediment control. Have that on your mind when we get to that topic. But it will be alternative performance measures or agreements. And you have that handout, I'll go over
Okay.
at the dais.
All right. Anything further? Very well. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, very well, motion carries. Okay, let's see, next order of business is public comment. Is there any general public comment? All right, anything back there, Alan?
We have the illustrious Economic and Tourism Director, Ms. Tracy Gardner, online.
Okay.
She has yet to make a comment.
Okay, very well. Then hearing none, seeing none, we'll close public comment. The consent agenda, we have the August 11th regular meeting minutes, and we have two supplementals, appropriation number 3, supplemental appropriation number 4. If you would, you want to handle that, or Ms. Warren, would you?
Would you get her a microphone, Alan, or is that one on? Thank you, Ms.
I
Warren.
think these are pretty straightforward, but I want the public to hear it.
Absolutely. Supplemental number 3, EMS was awarded the FY27 RSAF grant. And in the packet and attached to this supplemental, it provides you with the details of the grant. So if you scroll down 2 more pages, they were awarded, I believe it's 22,495.49. And they did apply to get some assistance for an ambulance that was not funded. However, up above, it looks like they have a couple different equipment items that were funded. So this supplemental basically puts it's a reimbursable grant. They have until September 1st to purchase the equipment, and then they can get reimbursed within 60 days. So this puts the funds into their budget as well as on the revenue side.
Okay. Now, that grant, that's an annual thing, but it's not guaranteed, right? I mean.
That is correct. We do apply annually.
We apply.
Mostly we've applied for ambulances in the past, because
Yeah.
go big or go home, right? But
Right.
I think it's worth mentioning too, or maybe you just covered, forgive me. This would also help reduce, was it some of our capital operations budget, because we didn't know we were going to receive this?
Correct. So some of the capital items that they budgeted for on the capital side, this is a 50/50 grant. So they will get 50% reimbursement for those items. So all in all, it's about a 50% reduction on several of their capital items.
All right. Questions from the board on that one? All right, let's go ahead and talk about number 4 then.
EMS received a check in the amount of $5,000 from, if you can scroll down, I apologize, I can't, Mountain View Nursing Home. They donated specifically towards the community paramedicine program. Very passionate about that program, and they wanted to make sure the funds went into that budget. So the supplemental appropriation would put those dollars into, they have a printing line item for community paramedicine that Chief Helm would like to put that to. He said there might be some equipment that they apply to it as well, but all in all, we just put it all into the printing line item for community paramedicine.
Okay. Yeah, I don't believe this is the first time that Mountain View Nursing Home has made a donation for the paramedicine purpose.
I can't
Right?
distinctly, unless Ms. Warren knows that it's gone for community paramedicine, but I do know this isn't the first donation
Yeah.
that the county has received from them. They've
Very
been very kind.
Excuse me, you said to the printing side, that's where they put the money, what is that?
Printing, and I'm guessing that some of the brochures that they will be passing out, that'll go to that line item for printing material for community paramedicine.
Okay.
But Chief mentioned that there could be some apparatuses that specific for community paramedicine that they could possibly get as well. But it was strictly community paramedicine program is where it will go.
Any further questions on this one? If not, I'll entertain a motion regarding the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda as stated.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next up, special appearances. We have for Virginia Career Works, we have Miss Sarah Morton and Annette Hyde. Y'all gonna tag team it, or you? Yeah. Come on up. Come on up.
Well, thank you for having me, and good evening to everybody. And thank you for Jonathan Weekly for inviting us to present to you. I know I come present to you all during budget season. You probably will see me again this year. But this is kind of going to give you an update and understanding of the Regional Workforce Board. Oftentimes people hear workforce and they always think, well, what does that mean? Are you helping people get jobs? Does it mean unemployment? Many people associate workforce with the unemployment office. That is a component of your Regional Workforce Board, but it is not the full auspices of what we do. We are a collaborative partner with Virginia Works, which Virginia Works is the state office that sits underneath the Department of Labor and the governor's office. So we are a subsidiary of Virginia Works. We are a collaborator of Virginia Works. So what is a workforce board? Alan, do you mind playing that for us? Just give you some context of what is a workforce board. Virginia has 14 of them in the state. I have the pleasure of serving as your executive director for Area 6, which is the Piedmont region, which covers from Nelson County all the way to Fauquier County. We stop at Rockingham, we stop at Goochland. So I have a very large footprint. So, Alan?
What is a Workforce Development Board? A Workforce Development Board is a formal group of community leaders serving a city, a county, or a region that identifies the needs of the local job market, oversees one-stop career centers, and works to coordinate and align workforce development initiatives in their area. Workforce Development Boards with membership from business, local elected officials, labor, economic development, educators, and community leaders foster high-growth career opportunities to meet the needs of their regional economy. This system exists to help businesses find qualified workers to meet their present and future workforce needs and help workers acquire skills for employment opportunities. A Workforce Development Board is the link between a region's workforce talent and its employer skill needs. They convene industry and their workforce and education partners in real time to impact the skilling and reskilling of America's workforce and put people back to work in career pathways that provide self-sufficiency. Together, this diverse group of leaders helps your community target recruitment opportunities, identify labor market trends, partner on economic development investments, and create resources to benefit all members of the community. Every Workforce Development Board has a plan that establishes funding priorities for their area focused on a broad range of worker issues that consider wages, job mobility, access, and equity. By analyzing data and working with local businesses, Workforce Boards understand what skills are most in demand and foster the necessary training and credential programs for their region. Workforce Boards also use outcome data to advise employers, policymakers, and communities about what approaches are successful. So without your local Workforce Development Boards, local businesses, educational institutions, and other community stakeholders would not have a strong voice to represent the unique workforce needs of your community. So what is a Workforce Development Board? It is a key link to your community's future.
So that kind of gives you a little context of what a regional workforce board is. Many people, like I said, see us as the unemployment office, and we're bigger than that. As it talked about, we have members from economic development to your career technical education advisors that are on our board. We have library systems who serve on our board. We have folks from the community college system. We have folks from businesses and industry. So we have a culmination. We have 27 board members. We have to have a cadence of public and private per the code in the state of Virginia, and also the legislation, which is the Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act. So that's where the bulk of our funding comes from for us to do this body of work across this region. So we get roughly about anywhere between $900,000 to $1 million every year from the federal government that comes out of the Department of Labor at the federal level, which then matriculates down to the governor's office, and then the Department of Labor at the state level will then send that money to us, but it's based off a formula. And normally your formula is based off of your unemployment numbers. And because we have a low unemployment rate, which we're lower than the state and we're lower than the national average, Typically, our funds are lower than anybody else. This is the first year in my tenure, and I've been with this board now for 6 years. January I'll be celebrating 7, but this is the first year that we have crested about $1 million in funding. We've always fell below the $1 million threshold, which is really not a lot of money when you think about serving a region that's about 4,033 square miles, serving over 456,000 people. So that's not a lot of money to spread out across all of our 11 jurisdictions. So as you can see, we have our mission, our vision, and our community unity, civility, and grace, respect. We changed our DEI when the federal government came and said, you must remove the DEI, diversity and equity clause, which we did. And so we talked about we are a community who's celebrating looking at unity, establishing civility with grace and respect. We want everybody that grace our doors to come in there and feel like they are part of a community and that we're trying to unite them for them to build economic mobility. We're here to revolutionize the workforce development system so we can help individuals build self-efficacy, but also economic mobility for their community, but also helping our businesses find the right talent that they need or to help them upskill the talent that they currently have, whether they're doing that through registered apprenticeships or pre-apprenticeships or youth apprenticeships. Alan, do you mind moving forward? So this is who we are as a region. So do you mind playing that? This gives you a background of who we are, and it focuses on our different sectors.
Hello from the Virginia CareerWorks Piedmont region. Across 11 localities, urban, rural, and everything in between, we power Virginia's workforce through healthcare, manufacturing, agriculture, technology, and more. Here, tradition meets innovation as we grow careers, support employers, and build opportunity for communities across our region.
So we touch everything from manufacturing to IT to financial and business services. We touch manufacturing, food and beverage manufacturing. We support a lot of the different sectors. This morning I attended a defense sector meeting out at PVCC with cybersecurity, et cetera. As you all know, cyber is really important, and it's another sector that we really need to take a deep dive in. It's also an opportunity for many of our youth to get a micro-credential and move straight in from high school into cyber and get some really high-paying positions. And so this is how we're helping our youth in this community, across our community, to build micro-credentials, which is important because, as you all know, our K-12 system needs a lot of support as budgets become very lean, as opportunities for post-secondary education shift. We need to be promoting micro-credentials. And so this is what we're looking to do with the Regional Workforce Board as we grow our communities. So as you can see our footprint here, we have 2 planning districts in our region because we're fairly large. So Planning District 10 consumes of Albemarle, Charlottesville, Fluvanna, Greene, Louisa, and Nelson. And then our Planning District 9 is Rappahannock, Orange, Madison, Fauquier, Culpeper, and Rappahannock. So that's our 2 planning districts in which we serve in this area. So we have, you heard in the What is a Workforce Board, they talked about the American Job Center. That's part of the federal legislation that every area, every board must have an American Job Center, which sits in Charlottesville off of 944 Glenwood Station Lane. That's where people can come in. They can get career services. They can get assistance with interview skills. They can get assistance with their resume. They can come in and get job help. If they want to do mock interviews, they can come search for jobs. We have veteran services, migrant worker services, reemployment services. So anything that they need, they can come to that center. In addition to that, we have affiliate centers. So we have an affiliate center in Culpeper, which is off of Stevens Street. We also have a partnership with the Department of Social Services in Albemarle County, which is off of 5th Street. And we have a new relationship that we've built with Orange County, where we're now part of their library system. So we now have, Orange County has invested in a part-time individual to go around their county and serve in all 3 of their library systems. So she's mobile. So one day she's at, Gordonsville, one day she's in the southern side and the western side. So that's a really good relationship. We've since established a relationship with Fluvanna and Nelson. So if that's something that Madison is interested in, We certainly can build a relationship with the library system because, as we all know, budgets are lean. So we need to utilize the resources that we have to capitalize off of so that we can serve our communities in a better way. So as you heard in the video, we talk about economic information, labor market information, foreign labor, migrant seasonal workers. We know that a lot of our orchards, a lot of our farms are using that. And we also help with the H-2B and we also at H-2A. So we can provide those services, trade adjustments. So anytime that there are jobs that are moving from America overseas, we have those people that we support. Right now, we know that Bingham and Taylor and Culpeper is getting ready to avert. So we're there. We'll be supporting that group to find those individuals. How many people are going into retirement? How many people need to find new jobs? How many people do we need to upskill? So we have that information when we get the warrant notices at the state level. That comes to our office, and then we dispatch the rapid response team to go out and support them. We also have Emerson in Charlottesville, who's also going to be closing, so we're going to be serving them in September. So what we try to do is get in there and find out how many people are qualified for retirement, who's getting severance packages. That way it lets us know whether our unemployment rates are going up or if they're going down. We go in there and we try to figure out how we can find new employment for them before those severances end. Because that's where most families, they suffer, they let those severance packages in, and then they go start looking for jobs. We try to be proactive and get in there and ask them who's looking for new jobs. We give them opportunities. We also have the Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act, which provides funding for upskilling for individuals who are qualified. Next. So how do we serve Madison County? So I serve on your CTE Career Technical Education Advisory Committee at the high school. Lisa Taylor also serves on your workforce board. So she represents the K through 12 system on our workforce board. Annette serves as our CLEO representative for Madison County. She also is our chair of the workforce board. So we are engaged highly. We also service Mesa once, I think it's once a week that we're out there providing services. This year we actually went to the Culpeper Rappahannock Fair and we supported one of your young agrarian entrepreneurs. He was showing a hog. We bought his hog and we donated it to Mesa. So we do try to give back to the community and support those individuals who's in entrepreneurship, but yet also promote that. I was just in a conversation with Katie Frazier, the Secretary of Agriculture, about how can we move our 4-H and FFA students into pre-apprenticeship roles, and when they hit 16, and so when they hit 18, 19, and graduate from high school, how do they go into a registered apprenticeship opportunity with an agrarian industry? So whether it be Virginia Tractor, whether it be New Holland, Ridgeway, whatever, how do we get those young men and women into earning some of those earn while you learn opportunities with them being in 4-H and FFA? It's a missed opportunity, and it really should be done for all student-serving organizations like Skills USA, HOSA, FBLA. All of those organizations should be pre-apprentice opportunities for our young men and women. We provide workforce readiness training. We also do layoff response services, so that's what we'll be doing at Emerson and for Bingham and Taylor. We also do financial literacy, so we have a partnership with the Atlantic Union Bank and the Virginia Credit Union, so we can go into the schools and provide this education and training to young men and women on financial literacy. And I actually go into some of the schools and do workplace readiness, which is getting folks ready, juniors and seniors specifically, ready to go out to the workforce. I help them with their resumes. I do mock interviews. We do personality tests for them to understand their career pathways. So I take a deeper dive with these young men and women who's getting ready to go off to post-secondary education or whatever their pathway is. I'm also encouraging a lot of our rural students who may not be looking to go off to a four-year institution, but getting them to understand what micro-credentialing is, which is building that scaffold of skills right out of high school. So if they're in high school and they're in your building trades class, they're getting an NCCER, what's the next level for them to get a micro-credential so they can go straight into, whether it's Madison Wood, whether it's Cardinal, wherever they want to go work, they've got that stackable credential, which gets them more money. So here's some of the statistics. This year we served, or last year we served 13,982 residents. Well, that's your population. We provided, you all provided us $500, which is your the 40 cents per capita. Our request was $5,000 at the 40 cents. We served 5 Madison County residents, and in return for that, they got $27,500 in training dollars to go get upskilled. So those 5, they generally, each person gets about $5,500 through the WIOA to go for upskilling. So that's a little bit on your return on investment to us. So the direct WIOA investment, as you can see, is $27,500, $55 return for every local dollar invested. This does not include the one-stop center services, the hiring events, the business services that we provide support for, the workforce outreach, the community partnerships that we leverage. We have a really strong relationship with your school system, with MESA, and we really want to establish a strong system with the library system so we can come in here and do more adult basic education as well. And of course, the financial literacy programming. So this year for 26, 111 residents visited our office. We have 6 Madison residents that's currently enrolled in WIOA right now. We have 5 of them that are veterans that are receiving a priority of service. And right now we have invested about $33,000 in tuition assistance and supportive services, whether that means if they need boots, if they need uniforms, if they're in CNA, if they're going to CDL, whatever they need, we provide that assistance and supportive services to help them build that self-sufficiency that they need. Local partnerships, so we have partnered with Madison County, MESA, Red Wing. Last year, this was your recipient who received a $200 gift card. We partnered with Red Wing, so any CTE student who was graduating, we partnered with them to give them $200 gift cards to Red Wing to go get their shoes or whatever they needed to go to work. And this young man was our recipient for Madison County. So workforce services today, we have 23 county residents served through VCW Piedmont Centers, 4 of them actively involved in WIOA, 183 of them in participants who we've served thus far, 46 regional employers served, and 6 regional hiring events that we've conducted this point through the new program year of 26-27. So connecting Madison County with hiring events. So we do try to provide hiring events. I know Tracy has reached out to me about the out of the box, helping them get them upskilled. And so I know, Dr. Jewett, you had mentioned us working with them to do an upskill program. So we are willing to support them in any way that we can. We provide career coaching. We do Workforce Wednesday podcast. So if there's anybody who's interested in being on our podcast, we welcome you all to reach out to us. We'd love to have you all tell your story about how workforce impacts your community and a rural community. And also looking at opportunities, how we can help you grow. So I know I just talked to Mr. Weekly prior to me coming on about having made a conversation with Centera about maybe one day looking at an urgent care or freestanding facility here. They're totally open to that. So maybe down the road, that's a conversation you all can have with Centera if UVA is not interested. So I have already built that bridge, so it's just a matter of connecting it, and let's have that conversation. But they are totally open to that. I know that they're looking to grow themselves, and so as we all know, behavioral health is a real issue for a lot of our youth, and so most rural areas is where you see a lot of behavioral health programs. And so, think about, is that something that you want to have here? I mean, it's an opportunity, but I know that Centera is open to having a conversation with you, so I'm happy to build that bridge, make that connection with Kim and others there at UVA, because we have Dawn Hutchison who serves on our board as well. Next. So we remain committed to workforce to your folks here in Madison County. We do want to continue to strengthen the partnerships with the schools here in the community, but also investing in building out a more measurable and high volume workforce here in rural areas. One of the things I've been working with the healthcare is please stop offering CNA. CNA is not a livable wage. Centera told me that what they're doing is they're hiring CNAs, but they're now classifying as patient care technicians because they're at a higher wage than the CNA. So I've asked folks to stop classifying it, because oftentimes when young individuals see parents in that trajectory, they typically stay there. They don't look beyond that. And so we really need to be building bridges that's going to build self-sufficiency and economic mobility. So I've asked him to think about PCT to LPN, then to RN versus CNA. We don't want folks at the bottom of the barrel, as I call them. We need to be getting folks at mid-level and not entry-level, because that's not a sustainable wage. And specifically with inflation, we cannot do that. And so we really need to think about what are those jobs that's going to help medical billing and coding, transcriptionists, radiology, and I'm working with the Central Virginia Healthcare Collaborative on building out a intermediary for an entry level in radiology technicians, so a radiology assistant, which then goes to be a radiology tech, which then moves into more specialty. So I actually just finished building out that framework for Central Virginia Partnership for Economic Development, for Central Virginia Partnership for Healthcare Collaborative. So more to come on that, but we really need to be pushing more of the jobs that's going to build the economic mobility in our rural communities because of the pay scales. They're not where they need to be. So I'll entertain any questions that you might have for me regarding the Regional Workforce Board.
We have a person on our Economic Development Committee, Molly Wilshire. Have you met her?
I have not.
Two things. She started a business here in Madison County, and she does want to use more residents from the county. She runs festivals. So that's one thing. So I'd like to get you together with her to talk to her about that. And secondly, she's interested in starting a fabrication laboratory and training young people and adults on how to use different machines, 3D printers to make parts for tractors, to fabrication of just about anything, welding, those type of things. So she wants to start doing that, but I'd love just to get together have a cup of coffee and talk to her and brainstorm.
Absolutely. I was just having a conversation with the new corporate executive director for workforce at PVCC, and one of the things that I really want to start doing is more for middle school and running summer camps for students to be exposed to these tracks. So I would love to be able to see if she'd want to pilot something like that in the summer so we can get students exposed, and specifically our vulnerable communities, students who don't necessarily understand those pathways.
So I sent her your contact info. We'll get together and set up.
Absolutely. Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Morton, a few weeks ago, a few of us went out to Box In, Box Out to view their expanding business, which it is expanding. And at the end, Tracy Gardner and I were talking to the gentleman that's, I guess, a CEO out there. I forgot his name. Keith. Okay, and he was talking about the challenges of workforce training and some of the things that they would like to see done with regard to training of their workforce. Now, I have done that many years. I did it in private industry and I did it at higher ed level. One of the problems that we always found is that a lot of the listed courses and the listed programs and the certifications didn't always really fit what people needed. Some of the stuff was too much, some of it was too little. And I spoke with Tracy afterwards and I asked her, I said, are there any grants possibilities out there, and I don't know whether that be through you folks, to where we could look at setting up customized training programs, not necessarily for a particular business, but for a particular industry, like logistics, manufacturing, where you would go in and you would provide training that they need, and it's efficient time-wise, and it's also efficient as far as cost-wise.
So if I may, Virginia has set aside funds that comes through the governor's office, which is carved off the top of WIOA. So what we could do is, I've reached out to, as soon as you all had that meeting, Tracy came back and sent me an email. I said, yes, let's set up a meeting. But I think he may have gone out of town because she said, and I'm out of town, so let me circle back with you. So that is on the table to have that discussion. But I totally would be open to doing an earn while you learn with that company so that we can design and develop what he needs. And then you don't necessarily have to use a community college to do the training. You can do LinkedIn Learning to figure out what are we trying to customize. What does he need? Does he need durable skills? Does he need soft skills? Does he need, hands-on development? Is it machining? What is it he need help with? But I wouldn't know that until I met with him to figure out what it was. We could build out a framework and then figure out what that credentialing needed to look like.
Yeah, I'd be glad to be involved with that if you would like.
Absolutely. Yep. So I will circle back with Tracy, and we can get a meeting on the books.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we could use, some of them could qualify for some workforce development funding, WIOA.
All right. Anything else? Mr. Weekly, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to state, first off, I thank Ms. Morton and Ms. Hyde for coming. We bumped into each other a couple of times, whether it's Central Virginia or at our business dinner. And I've started to invite folks, don't just come see us at the budget time, but which strikes me, and there's plenty of information we're going to get out to the public. A lot of it I need to read because I wasn't aware of the services. But I just want to highlight or try to summarize, there's a lot of information Ms. Morton, shared. But think of two target areas because, we're focusing on adults, pathways for them, whether it's reemployment or whatever that looks like. But there also, you heard her talk about focus on the youth. So there's CTE. So you're still filling gaps. You're working on employment, but you're also working on, you often hear that, hey, my kid graduated, but they had to go elsewhere because there's no jobs here. Well, I was just at the doctor today for a follow-up. Went well, praise the Lord. But shortage of nurses, I know many of you know this. We talked about the CNA level. I have an individual, a family friend whose daughter they were doing CNA, but it is not a living wage. And, that pathway to LPN, what Jemana Locust Grove campus used to preach, LPN to RN, it does need to be pushed out there again. And that goes for whether it's female, male, I don't care, healthcare is healthcare as far as a job. But I do appreciate, and Ms. Morton, our EDC, Economic Development Committee, meets once a month. Mr. Jewett, Supervisor Jewett, chairs that. So if there's any point in time he would like for you to come to that, any specific topics, a lot of it's what we don't know, but the work you're doing and then sharing outcomes, I know for me personally is appreciated because we can see that. And we can learn what are we missing or what's changed, whether it's for the adult workforce or the youth. So that was just a comment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely, and we try to send you all quarterly reports, and I know that we send the CLEOs and all supervisors your monthly reports that we send out on the traffic that's coming in by locality. So we try to keep you all as informed as possible, but we need to utilize the resources here. I mean, we don't, your people in your county do not need to leave to go get educated. They can be right here. We can start adult basic education programs, whether you're using your library, whether you're using your parks and rec centers, or if you're using your high school facilities to do that. But that's how you, one, can generate additional revenue for some of those programs, be self-sufficient, but also how do we get the adults in here or students who can't take these classes during the day? What does that look like coming to school at night to get CTE if they can't get it in their curriculum? So we can help with that as well. So I'm a thought partner, but I'm also a person who knows how to go out and try to find funding that can support these endeavors.
Okay. Anything else from the board? No, sir. All right. From staff? No? Okay. Very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. All right. The next item on the agenda is the one-time bonus public hearing. We're looking at September 8th for that. Mr. Weekly?
Yes, sir. I wanted to put that on as old business. You have directed us to advertise for that. So sorry I didn't get it out there for today's meeting, but it has been properly advertised. That's required by our ordinance. So that is for September 8th, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So that's just for our information at this point.
Correct.
All right. Next item, new business, sheriff deputy salaries. We've got the sheriff here, and we've got Ms. Warren, I think. Sheriff, you want to? I'm following her. You're going to follow her? That's probably a wise thing.
Give 1 second, it'll load on the screen.
Well, I thought I'd start out
Well,
letting
Yeah,
just-
was the plan maybe the sheriff to find the need of how we got here or the request?
I would like to start with Sheriff Weaver to give us a quick overview on the challenges that you're facing.
Test.
Yeah.
Recently, as you all, we've been discussing this, some of our last meetings, how finding the availability to hire people is just not out there with our salaries. And I talked to Ms. Warren and talked to Ms. Weekly, we had a discussion where we're at 6 counties in this area.
Go ahead and go to the
we're at
next
the bottom.
page, please.
It's hard to believe, for 58K, we could not find anybody to come here to work. So we're becoming more and more shorthanded. As I mentioned at our last meeting, we're 3 short. Other individuals, I was told, going October 1, that put us 4 short. So what we're going to have to start doing, either come up with a boost here, which we have done, not a whole lot of boost, but it is a boost to try to be competitive with, at least with Orange and Greene County. We're in the ballpark. And it's no, Ms. Warner explained to you, it's no new money. We're freezing some positions. We can't find anybody to hire. But it's becoming a major issue for law enforcement, not only in this county, throughout the state. Larger departments are hiring more people. They have the funding, the availability to hire people and give these people, $10,000, $15,000 for a sign-on bonus. That's why we're losing people. And I know it's a budget issue, and I pay taxes just like anyone else, but we're just trying to boost a little bit to get us up within the 60K area. That makes sense? Any questions?
I just have a quick question to think about. My question would be, what is our minimum number of deputies that we can keep everybody safe? And, is it 3 plus 3 now or plus 4 now? Is that your minimum?
It's becoming a challenge. How's
Yeah.
that?
The reason I bring this up is I'm just wondering if there's a way our boost can be bigger if we don't replace those 2 or 3 or 1 position or 2 positions and give them more money instead of just the little boost that we're looking at.
But then you have to understand our salaries for 1 to 5 years are so close. And we cannot give somebody a boost where the person's only been here 6 months and the person's been here 3 years. That person with 6 months will be making more money than the person been here for 4 years. It's a stepping stone. It becomes one more, someone else. And Ms. Warner will explain to you what we've done to create hopefully a solution at this time for this issue we have. And back to your question, it's becoming a challenge now to find people. I'm getting, 2 people getting ready to go out on medical sick leave, 6 weeks to 8 weeks, 2 people. So I'm not going to mention to you, I think you could probably talk to Mr. Snyder later on tonight. It's becoming an issue that we're concerned about people. So basically, like I told her, the SROs are going to have to come out to school to support us on the road. There's nothing I can do about that.
Okay.
I know that's a hard thing to swallow, but there's going to be at least 2 coming out, so we'll have hopefully 2 in the school. If we need them, they'll have to come out also. Because you can offer overtime to these people. After a while, you work for 12-hour days.
Oh, I know.
5 days in a row, you're tired. You need to go home. You have to recoup and get some rest. So I can't continue asking people to work overtime every day.
I just didn't know if there's other ways to bonus everybody. And, if you didn't fill all the positions we have now, if we had enough people to do it and if they would agree to it. I mean, I don't know how it works in the public sector. I'm just thinking in the private sector what I had to do in the past. And, you have I had 20 employees in 2008, and I had to get rid of 10 of them. And I had 8 or 12 of them, and I had the rest left over were the ones that were my key employees that really did all the work. Anyway, so I didn't know if there's something along those lines, if there's, I don't know, I was just trying to spitball some ideas so to get them paid higher, because even with Greene, I'm sure Greene's losing people to all these higher paying places too. That's why they're taking our people.
I think a big issue there, a plus for them, they're offering a sign-on bonus.
Yeah,
And that's a big plus where we just don't have the funding to do that here.
right.
And I completely understand that. I think Ms. Warren's going to explain, we're giving everybody something, a lot of our guys, we have 12 people to work the road. Right now, I'm 3 short.
Yeah.
and 2 more going out, you can do the math, that's at least 7 people working 24 hours, 7 days a week shifts.
Yeah.
7 people.
Yeah.
It cannot be done.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Jewett, you got a question for the sheriff?
Yeah, Sheriff Weaver, and this is looking ahead to budget season. Is there a way to quantify how much it's costing the county with the turnover? With regard to having to train fresh people and then they leave after a year or two? You know, this would be if we could have some type of ballpark number of what that cost is, we could have an argument for actually raising salaries across the board. Does that make sense?
Sure, we can get that for you. Sure can, no problem at all.
It'd be very helpful,
Go on.
because most people don't realize we're subsidizing all of our wealthy neighbors.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Because Sheriff, that runs the gamut of, when you issue equipment to a deputy and then they leave, can that equipment be transferred to the next person, or you lose some of that too?
Prime example, we just hired an individual a month ago. He lasted us 2 weeks.
Yeah?
He was a 3XL. We spent several $1,000s worth of clothing, equipment for him. It's sitting up here in the closet right now, unless we find another person that can wear 3XL clothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a vest,
Okay.
$2,000 for a bulletproof vest. It's sitting up in the closet.
So, yeah, don't leave out those
Yeah.
things when you
Sure.
do a calculation.
The thing I like to add, Mr. Chairman, is they have the cost of academy, so we just talked equipment, but when they come back, they're not released. So factored in that, just like EMS has it too, there's a certain amount of time orientation that they have to release them. So that individual will be paid during that orientation process while you still have to fill that vacant slot. Am I stating that correctly, Sheriff?
That's correct.
So that would have to be part of that total cost of turnover, if you will.
They're not in a car riding, patrolling.
How many weeks is the
That
academy?
time you're talking about?
Yes.
Right.
It's a FTO period, field
Yeah.
training officer.
Yeah, okay.
They have to, I think DC just now, it's like 400 hours. They have to ride after they get out of the academy. And the biggest thing is, they only have academy twice a year now. So the people that just left us, the last 2, they couldn't complete the academy. The next academy doesn't start till January. So we're 6 months trying to find someone. And then once you hire that person, it's another 4 months through the academy, and then an additional 4 months on top of that for the training. So you're looking at about 2 years to get someone on the road that understands what they're doing.
So just to preface this thing, so the chart we're looking at right there, that 58,642 is not what you're currently being able to offer them. You're really offering them the 57,242, right?
Correct.
Plus with a $1,400 bump.
And let me explain
After-
I'm sorry.
Right.
$1,400 bump used to be,
Yeah.
years ago, the comp board,
Yeah.
years ago, would give, once you complete the academy, would give a $1,500 bump. And as the comp, we all know the comp board, they take that away and don't give it back to you. So we were doing this $1,400 as a momentum or something, or a plus to keep people from going through the academy and staying. You'd be surprised. $1,400 to a person that bleeds and leaves and lives day to day on money. $1,400 a year is a lot of money. $100 a month. Buy groceries, buy gas. I don't think you buy much gas, but you can buy groceries right now. So we're trying to, with Ms. Warren's help, we've tried to add that to the starting salary. So instead of them getting the $1,400 bump at the end of school, they're going to get it at the beginning of the school, if that makes sense.
Yep. Further questions for the sheriff?
I have none, thank you.
What's that? No.
I have none. thank you.
Done. Mike? All right,
Thank
very
you,
well.
Sheriff.
So the first slide basically shows the surrounding counties, and I think one of the challenges too is several of these counties bumped up in their new fiscal year. I know Louisa, I believe, just was one of the ones that bumped up to 61,000. So we are the only county that's below 60,000 for hiring deputies out of these counties. And I did contact all of these various counties to verify these starting salaries. And then on the bottom of this one, you can see our current pay scale and the breakdown of our current policy, our deputy sheriff position is currently a PS7, starting at the 57. I think it says 242. I don't have my glasses on, sorry.
That's it.
But we do, you can see the policy there is that we do add the 1,400 after they are operating independently. Any questions on the current? And then we'll go on to the
Jennifer, you may want to add to that notation of the 0.5% per 5 year, because that'll come up again.
yeah, so that's another part of the policy is, in this, in the public safety, EMS has this as well, up to 5 years of outside service in other counties, they do a 0.5% increase on the minimum pay scale for hiring.
On average, how much overtime does a deputy get paid per year? What's the average?
It's not much. If I remember your overtime chart that I looked at during budget season, there was maybe 100, not even 100
Maybe
hours.
No more than 100 hours per person.
Per person?
Very minimal. The next slide is a proposed public safety pay scale change. My recommendation, after talking to the sheriff as well as Mr. Weekly and looking at the surrounding counties, would be to bump the sheriff deputy position up to a PS8, starting to be with the same as the SRO positions. So it would start at the 60,104 and recommend not only bumping it to a PS8 pay grade, remove the additional $1,400 increase, just take that language out of the policy and start them at the 60,104, but also recommend adding a pay scale exception clause, which we'll talk about it on the next slide, to allow the hiring some flexibility for the sheriff's office, since it's increasingly harder and harder to get these positions filled at times, so a little bit of flexibility. And then years of service outside of Madison County, changing it from the 0.5% up to 5 years to a 1% up to 15 years maximum. Because I think what I've heard from Major Estes as well as Sheriff is that a lot of times they get great candidates and they can only offer up to 5 years outside service. They can go somewhere else and get a better starting pay. So being a little bit more competitive with the surrounding counties, going to 1% up to 15 years maximum. And then on the pay scale exception clause, in the next slide, this was something that Major Estes sent to me as a template for the board to review. And first, before we get into that, you can see at the top, that would be how we stack up with the surrounding counties. We'd be right underneath Greene County at 6104. But as you can see in the pay scale exception clause, it would give the sheriff's office the flexibility to offer, they want to offer a couple $100 more than the 60,104, start someone at 60,500 to be competitive with the orange and the green. They could do that if they found a really good candidate. So I'll let you take a look at that clause. And I did put a bullet at the bottom within budget that it would have to be within budget. And I think that's the goal, is really to try to be closer to that 60,500, which seems to be the spot where a lot of the counties are.
So the pay scale exception clause is in addition to the prior slide for the 1% up
Correct.
to 15 years. Okay,
Correct,
yeah.
yes.
We got that option.
Correct.
The reason for that
Yeah.
is if someone has 5 years of service
Yeah.
and they want to come here, we want to try to boost them up a little bit
Oh, yeah, it's worth
instead of
something.
as a starting salary. But you're getting a person who's got 5 years of experience. They can come right to work, you know the county, they're working here.
Yeah.
That's the only reason for that. It's not going to happen every time.
Yeah.
But in case someone comes along, we want to have the opportunity to offer them something, something extra.
Yeah. So questions for Jennifer on this?
And I did put together one more slide for you to see the budget impact.
Yeah.
As Sheriff mentioned, if he were to freeze one of his positions that's vacant, the deputy sheriff investigator position, for 6 months, that savings would be $47,527. And that would offset the cost to rebaseline several of the positions that he has, sheriff's deputy positions he has now, and there would be no increase needed to his FY '27 budget.
So that's gonna net us, net your department 11,000 to the good. And then I looked at it, I did the calculations, and it looks like if everything stayed exactly the same for next year, it would, your labor costs would probably be $29,000 more
The baseline.
next year, because of the baseline.
The baseline salary pool would be
So 20,
30,000 higher next year.
Right.
But it would definitely, bumping up to a PS8 is, I think,
Yeah.
a good temporary fix, but I think long-term, doing another salary study next year for public safety would be a great idea. But the challenge right now is in front of us, and that would be a really, I think, smart decision to bump to PS8 at this point, since it's in our scale.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, because we cannot, or I don't want to yank the school resource officers out of the schools. We just can't do that. I don't know.
We do need our deputies to be up with the amount of the school
Yeah.
officers.
But you have to understand, I'm at the southern end of the county, and
Yeah,
Cardy's at the northern end, and something happens to the chairman, hope it doesn't happen.
yeah,
And one of our guys, as she mentioned earlier, doing the mental health transport to Southwest Virginia, we got one person.
Oh, yeah, we
So by
got
the time
that.
I get out, travel that way by north, I'm looking at 45 minutes to get there. And we're still having the issues with mental health transport.
are you? Yeah, I forgot about that part. That's just, Okay, questions from the board on this?
I just have one question, and this is, I guess, for both of you. You're looking at a 6-month hiring freeze, but the savings exceeds the extra cost. Could that be reduced to a 6-month freeze? I mean, a 5-month freeze, excuse me. A shorter period before you can refill that?
Good, absolutely. I think
Sure.
I think the dollars came out pretty close at the 5-month. We just, Sheriff chose 6 months as a starting baseline
Right.
for timing on the rehire of that.
Yeah, kind of thinking it might take that long to find somebody, right?
Yes, that's correct. Well, see, that 6 months, that would give us till January 1 when the next school starts. That's,
Okay.
I mean, we could do 5 months. I was just
I'm
trying to,
just curious.
think about if we can find somebody that we can send to the school. And then the question is if we can get them to complete the school.
What's the attrition rate in the academy as far as people starting and then they don't make it through?
I'd say 10%.
Okay.
10% don't make it.
10% don't. See, out of 50 people, usually you lose 10%. And that's for sometime of grade, sometimes that they're injured, sometimes within 2 weeks they decide they want to go back to work at McDonald's instead of being a law enforcement officer.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion on this, or entertain a motion that, on the pay scale change that's been presented tonight? What kind of detail would you like to have on that motion?
And I'll pull in my wingman over here. I think at a minimum, if you're looking to approve the sheriff's office pay plan as presented,
Yeah.
just add the effective date in there.
September 1 would be great if we could do September 1.
Yeah,
Do you want me to make the motion?
is that good?
And adding
As
the
presented.
policy language.
Okay.
One second, Ms. Warren?
I would think the motion would also include approving the policy pay scale exception clause, is that what we called it?
Oh, very good point.
As well as the policy changes for that, for the deputy sheriff position.
Well, that one, well, let's see, does that one slide encapsulate everything, or you have to go back a slide to get to the one,
Yes.
the change from 0.5 to 1? But as presented, to include pay scale exception clause. Is that what you're saying, Jennifer?
Yes, to include the pay scale exception clause, as well as modifying the years of service to be 1% per year for up to 15 years maximum,
I think
and removing the $1,400 increase.
Yeah, I think that, that is taken care of itself. You'd rather have that stated specifically.
I think the way I worded it underneath that slide up there was really the recommendation that we were hoping to get. The recommended, starting there in that language, recommended to go to from the PS7 to PS8, removing.
Yeah.
That would clearly be clear on everything that needs to be done, except I didn't put September 1st.
I could try to make a comment.
So we have a motion to approve this with that condition on the next slide.
All right, Mr. Chairman, let me try this one. I move that we approve the changes to the pay scale with the additional policy changes that add the exception clauses, pay scale exception clauses, and anything else, Ms. Warren?
Effective September.
Okay,
Effective September 1st.
effective September 1st, 2026. How does that sound? Mr. Wright?
That's second.
All right, we have a second, now further discussion. So is that covered?
I think so. Yes.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
good luck.
Sorry for the clumsy motion.
Oh, no, it's. All right. So the next order of business is the Verizon phasing out of the copper-based landline phone service. Mr. Weekly.
All pun intended, do not kill the messenger. So many of you know all of you know by now, I informed you as well, put out a press release once we were made aware that Verizon was sending residents letters about discontinuance of copper-based landline phone service, which as a rural locality, you can imagine how that affects us more than urban population centers. Actually, we saw Supervisor Dunahee from Rappahannock at our VACO conference, and she said their citizens were receiving letters. So anyway, Verizon has made a filing to FCC to discontinue that service. Their letters to the residents state that they believe the FCC will give approval on or shortly after October 23rd, 2026. I'm not sure if that's going to occur. I believe that may be their hopes, but I'm not sure if that's going to occur. I did not check today. Forgive me, I will check tomorrow. I've been checking regularly to see if a reference number has been given for this filing. That is the number that folks can use if they want to make an FCC filing. So on the screen, you'll see the first hyperlink in blue, the www.fcc.gov/ECFS. And you can use the search section 63.71 Verizon Virginia to find. They made an application for plain old telephone service. They call that POTS, as well as POTS, which is the plain old telephone service for discontinuance. I spoke to the local government or the state and local government affairs for Verizon last Friday evening. They were still at work. I was still at work. They did state that they believe I'm going to say memo would be forthcoming from Verizon, but it's going through their legal scrutiny. My comment is, why wasn't the county administration made aware? We get notifications when another telecom company like Comcast is dropping a channel out of their lineup. That's not impactful. It maybe is for some folks for reruns, but this is very impactful, and we were not given notice. So I was displeased with that. Just like Rappahannock County is offering their citizens, we are acting as a warehouse. In that press release, we are encouraging the public to, if they want to share their concerns, they certainly can make a filing on their own. But if they want to share their concerns, we want to know what's your cell service like. And pretty much we know in your area, those folks that are in Etland, it's going to be 0, and other parts of the county. What is, do you have fiber right now? If Fios doesn't exist, which is a Verizon product, it has to get to you. If Firefly hasn't reached it, it has to get to you. So I'm of the opinion that before approval is given, and I think I would recommend the board directing me to file an official letter, if you so choose, to whatever you want to include. If it's just total disapproval, we can list the reasons as I have in the press release. But I believe they're going to have to show that a like service or comparable service is available. And that's not there yet. That will not be there by October 23rd of this year. I can guarantee you that. Because it took a long time for, what was it, Bell Telephone or whatever back in the days to get lines strung to every household. So the issues that we put, Kim, if you can go to the press release, please, specifically under Madison County officials are concerned. Here's some areas that we outlined. I know, Mr. Chairman, you and I had some talks of the last bullet point, but lack of cell service we just talked about, or very weak cell service. I almost qualify that as the same as no cell service. So if you're dropping a call constantly, you might as well say no cell service. Fiber to home connection, I just mentioned. So there has to be a provider there, and not everybody has that. 911 emergencies during power outages. So, the old phones with the copper base, the low voltage, that backhaul allows that phone to stay live for a certain period of time to make a call during power outages. You don't always have that with alternative devices. They rely on battery backup, and those only normally last 24 hours or less. And after a while, I can tell you, like my cell phone, I'm going to have to probably replace soon because the battery, doesn't matter how often you charge it, it doesn't stay charged for 24 hours. Medical alerts, so legacy medical alert units or alarm systems may not work over wireless units. There's no guarantee of that. So I know 911 is their critical component. When I talked with the local affairs representative for Verizon, they recognize and realize that there has to be some certainties with that. We know that technology advances. We all can appreciate that. We're looking at things that didn't exist probably 15, 20 years ago as far as regular use with computers and other technologies. But when it comes to 911 and our citizens, I know a lot of folks, the sheriff will tell you, he has I think it's called a welfare check program. If he can't reach those folks, our community paramedicine has a certain inventory as well. So there's a lot of concerns out there, a lot of unknown what's going to happen in the future. So continuing on with that flyer, how can citizens voice their concern? Certainly you can file the FCC, but if you don't have a computer, you can come into our office. We'll be happy to help folks. Again, you can provide the docket number. Once it's available, we'll update the website for that. We ask if you contact us, explain your situation, if it's lack of cell phone coverage or signal or any of those things that we mentioned. So, again, we are asking folks to provide that information. Go up another, the next page, Kim.
Before we go, leave that page.
Okay.
So, who's driving?
Kim.
You driving? So click on that link right there. I did that yesterday, and so I didn't know, search full text. I didn't know where to go from there. I didn't know whether there's something we could put in that press release beyond that saying, type in the text of something.
Right. We might be able to do a mock screenshot of that where it says fill in here, search full text for the section that's where you would enter your section
Yeah, if you had the FCC filing number.
That's where you would put it at,
But
yeah.
we don't have that yet.
We don't. You can put in search full text, if you did enter that section 63.71, that's where you'll find their application. It's about 170-some pages long. And it's where you can see your fixed wireless coverage percentage versus other localities. So for example, I think we're at like 70-some%, and you can thank Firefly for that. That number was much lower, where Rappahannock, I think, is like at 30-some%. Of course, All Points has not deployed much fiber in that county. That's why those numbers are different. And that's where they're making their case, is like only a small percentage of their population even has, either fixed wireless or fiber or anything. So there are some disparities there. I did see some email traffic amongst the county administration that makes up Planning District 9 to see if this is something that VACO should get involved with, or the Regional Commission. If that's your direction, we can ask that. Their upcoming meeting is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm sure this will be a discussion at the table. Go up the next slide, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or the next page that's in the packet. We believe this is their timeline, and I looked at their filing application as well as looking at other localities, what they have. So they've already mailed the notice. Sometimes it gets there much later than August the 7th, but that's been completed. The Verizon filing has occurred. It says in progress, but that just means it hasn't been assigned a number yet. What's important is once it's assigned a number, and it's that public comment period, they only allow a 15-day window on that. So it's very short, and that's why I wanted that citizen input, because we may want to file our filing during the public comment period, because we'll have more data to back it up. That's your local governing body weight with data versus individuals filing or may not choose to file. We believe their review, the FCC, that's the regulatory body that has final say, if you will. Just think how PJM and them decide on electrical transmission. The FCC decides on these communication issues. We believe the FCC will make their decision sometime between September the 17th and October 23rd. It could get prolonged if there's enough outcry. And then Verizon, their phase-out target date would be October 23rd or shortly thereafter. The language there says Verizon proposed cutoff date. I don't even believe they would cut off at October 23rd, because we haven't given it full legal scrutiny yet within, but I don't think that's legal to do that. Definitely not until they solve the 911 issue. You and I pay a 911 fee when we pay our bill, so I believe they need to solve that issue. So we think that's the timelines. The recommendation would be to direct me to make an official FCC filing that includes the reference Madison County official concerns. Those are those 4 or 5 bullet points, or any other concerns you may have. Yeah, that would be my recommendation here tonight.
But should we wait until we get a FCC filing number so you can?
I think so.
Yeah.
That would be the best approach.
Yeah, this is gonna be something that's gonna be at the RRC meeting tomorrow, I'm sure, so.
And I'm gonna look, I haven't done this yet, I'm gonna look to see if I can get some space. I'm sure there's community boards at the post office, your neck of the woods, I think Etlin and maybe Wolftown Mercantile, just to help spread that out there.
Would the easiest thing, I was walking my dogs down Emmett Road the other day, and I got hit by, 5 of my neighbors. What's on? It's like, okay, I get it. So the best thing to do, I think, is like, call Kim.
Yeah,
Sorry.
call the office.
I think, and so would that be the way to go? Call you, and you'll take their name and what their issue is?
Yeah, so
with
I'm,
that?
I have a spreadsheet that I'm tracking all the people who've called or emailed.
Okay.
Either way is fine. They can come in person, they can call, they can shoot me an email.
Well, I'm just saying it because there's a couple of people that can't even spell computer.
Yeah,
I mean,
they can
Yeah.
call or come.
No.
I had a gentleman tell me, well, I can't see your press release because I don't have internet.
Right, correct.
This is a
Okay.
great point.
And that's where I want to get it out, those community hubs.
Yeah.
Because right now, between those who've seen it on the Piedmont Journal Recorder, you know, they're sharing that with their loved ones or
Okay.
their friends, is how it's getting
Yeah,
out.
this is a big deal.
It is,
Because we don't have, you know, we have internet because we have Starlink, but we,
right,
I can't dial 911 when power goes out.
yeah.
But we have a landline, and we need that landline.
So I don't know how they're gonna close that gap. I really don't. You know, maybe it's the fiber to home. I asked them, I said, you know, if you guys are doing your FiOS, are you?
Verizon's not gonna run fiber out here.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Just a couple of thoughts on that. You know, not to get off track, but you know, before deregulation, they would not have been allowed to do that. My question is, in my contention to the FCC would be, okay, what does Verizon propose as a contingency for the folks who will lose telephone service? I think they need to make an argument to the FCC that, you know, we're not abandoning customers, that we have to have some type of plan. The other hand is that we know this is going to happen, so I think on our end, we probably need to be more proactive with Firefly, because obviously fiber going on the electric poles is the de facto replacement to the copper system. But we need to make sure that, you know, that Firefly's moving along to make sure that we have every house connected. And then we may even have to look at working with them to provide a program whereby we can either provide equipment or or training to folks who just, it's completely foreign to them, so that they can have phone service. Now, the issue with the 911, I would be interested to talk to Fireflies to see what would be available or how they could have a workaround so that when power does go out, you still have that connection. I mean, there's ways around it, but I'm talking about system-wide. But I think that's something that they ought to be rectified anyway, since most people are not on copper anymore. And, you know, 911 goes out, I mean, your power goes out. If you have a backup generator, you have an APC on your modem, a Firefly modem, it will keep you up for a while. I guess I assume that the multiplexers that they have in their network, they're backed up by generators. So I think the problem's at the end point. Alan, would you agree with me on that?
Yes, sir. The only other thing I would add is, as of last week, actually, we had copper lines that were providing service to dispatch. We replaced those with a VoIP system.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that system is back-ended into our Segra fiber line as a backup.
Okay.
So not only do we have a very large generator that's over at the dispatch center that is the backup for the power over there, if I'm not mistaken, the Segra fiber line will kick in if we do lose also that battery backup as well. So we do, I think, have a double backup system in place for dispatch at this moment. But to the best of my knowledge, all of the copper lines have been replaced over at the sheriff's office as of last week. We will be starting on the copper lines for this building and the building down the hill, I think, next week. We had a letter mailed to, I believe it was the finance department, around February that let us know that they were going to start the disconnecting process sometime in October, and they told us they would have 90 days once they were sure that we were going to disconnect, then they would actually disconnect. So we are being very proactive on that front and trying to get away from copper as fast as possible because it looks like it's coming.
Okay, thank you. So would the board agree that we need to contact Firefly? And they're aware of the problem, but how can they help us with the contingency plans for the eventual loss of copper?
I'll make contact with them, sir. I do know I have updated numbers to share at the September meeting, just to see how VADI 22 and actually 22, I believe, is done. VADI 24 is doing, which is the areas that touch a lot of Etlin and other areas. But that map, as you know, there will be some homes that just are not part of this. So we'll have to see that catch group, if you will, that wasn't picked up this time, how will they be served?
Okay.
Have we had any interest on, from a telecom company putting cell phone service on that Etlin Tower?
I would say on that, sir, I think unless the board would object, is allow us to issue an RFP. We have personally reached out, I think T-Mobile and Verizon, but really the proper way should be an RFP and see if we'll get a response that way. I did tell the gentleman from Verizon that, hey, we have a cell tower that could help. It wouldn't solve the other side of the ridge, which is Syria, but at least it would be an option for those on part of the county that are in this discontinued service area.
Just like to add something really quick. I've helped a couple of people up in Etlin and going towards Sperryville. Somebody hit a deer, there's no cell service, couldn't call AAA, couldn't call the sheriff's department. 2 days ago, I went over to the bank with my zero turn, and I couldn't call anybody. I had a cell phone on me, I'm hanging upside down, and, I mean, it could have been really bad.
Yeah.
And I know that happens to a lot of people in our area. You know, farmers out there working, they need cell service, and, I mean, I luckily got out of it, but it was only because the neighbor went by with the window down in their car. The first two cars went by with windows up, couldn't hear me. So anyway, so I had my cell phone, I'm texting my son, was at the house less than 300 yards away, but he couldn't pick up anything because there's no service. So, I mean, it's dangerous. Somebody's gonna get really hurt if we don't get some kind of cell service up there.
And they also are doing away with, they've already done it in Madison County, but they're doing away with the old payphones.
It won't be as
So
fast.
Don Weekly, he had one of the last payphones at the store. They took the payphone out years ago, because at least if there was some activity after night, flat tire or whatever, folks, you know, get lost hiking or where am I, they could use the payphone, but they're removing all of that. I think Verizon told me they have about, for this area, not just Madison, but about 100,000 customers left on copper-based landlines. So I'm sure it's a numbers game to them.
Yeah.
But definitely, sir, emphasis on what you just stated.
So is the time ripe right now to go ahead and perhaps do RFP to see what we got?
Yeah,
Get a-
as long as, and Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong, as long as I have consensus, because an RFP I can issue
Yeah.
as an administrator, I'm not committing you to anything, but I would like to at least have consensus on that.
All right.
And then we'll get that going.
All right, we have consensus on that. Get
And that's
RFP
for the
going.
Churchill
You can bring it
Tower
back
site.
to us and let us read to see what it's gonna entail.
Okay,
All right?
yes.
We'll check it out Thursday.
We'll see
Okay.
what's out there. Maybe something posted on Evo. We
That's
just put
right.
Madison County in there.
Okay.
Are we supposed to still tell Kim we don't have any cell service at our homes?
Yes, if you're
Or
affected,
telling ya?
yeah,
We
yeah.
have some, it's better than it ever used to be, but then I wonder about the Firefly because it's hanging out there on the post and I don't know what it's gonna take to get from there into the house. And we like our internet service, but I don't know.
You've subscribed, you've gone on their website and submitted a request?
No, not yet.
Okay, you
No.
just need to do that.
Yeah,
Well,
sooner
that
the better,
helps.
too.
I've done it, and
Do you
everybody's
have
got,
it?
no, everybody's got it all
So
around.
if you would help me, because we'll add this to our
Sounds back
to-do
on
list
this one.
tomorrow, of the board members,
Yeah.
who has Firefly at their home
Yeah,
actively?
who has Firefly?
Not active, it's hanging on the post.
So Mr. Snyder, Mr. Jewett?
Oh, yes.
All right.
No.
Mr. Chairman, I know, no for you, you were saying that yesterday. Ms. Sharman, Mr. Buchanan. So make note of those three supervisors, please, and we will check on that.
So, to Nancy, to your point, I think the more people we have on record saying that this does not work for them, the better off we will when we send something to FCC.
Yeah, because we're gonna ask them, you know, all right, we'll capture the cell service. Do you have fiber at
Yeah.
your home? I mean, fiber at home, you still have to have battery backup. We recognize that. But at least we're getting familiar with what you have at home, because there are gonna be some folks that have neither option.
Correct.
And that's probably your highest class to be, you know, focus on.
Okay.
All right, and then, but are you wishing to authorize me to, or did you vote on that already? To file a,
RFP?
no, this
Oh,
is
you
for the
mean to file with
FCC.
FCC? No, I think,
Go
don't
back.
we want to wait until we get a number, or FCC?
We
file
can,
number?
I'll just bring it back as old business.
Can that just be in the motion, say we'll file the paperwork
Okay.
once we know the FCC?
Yeah, we can do that, certainly.
That way we don't have to do it twice.
Go ahead then, Judd.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we direct the county administrator to make an official FCC filing, once he gets the FCC number, that includes the reference Madison County officials' concerns as illustrated in the August 14th, 2026 press release.
Second. Very well, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right.
We don't need to vote on the RFP for the cell service. do we?
No, I think.
No, as long as I have
Okay.
consensus,
Yeah.
because I'm not committing dollars,
Anything.
but it's, you know, it is putting out something for a proposal, so
Okay.
soliciting, if you will.
All right, so the next item is fireworks permits. We've got three. I don't see why we can't just approve them all. Ball Top, Francisco Display Works, and the one that was on our
The football,
desk from Madison County High School Athletics. And Ms. Turner, I think everybody you've talked to has approved this. They have no problems with it, so I don't see why we can't just approve these en masse. So I entertain a motion to approve the fireworks permits.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the fireworks permits enumerated in 8A, B, and C.
Very well, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. All right, number 9 on the agenda, large-scale outdoor event permits. This is for Graves Mountain Lodge, their Apple Harvest Festival. For some reason, I guess Lynn decided to break it into 3 instead of, he could have just done 1, but covered the whole thing, so. Is that correct, John? So.
Maybe not form, because our form now allows the duration.
It does now, but it didn't used to.
Oh, okay. All right, then I take that back. Sorry, Lynn.
For Mr. Gray.
Yeah. All right, so I'll entertain a motion regarding the Graves Mountain Apple Festival, and we can, again, we can do it for all 3, I believe.
Okay, I move that we accept the outdoor event permits for Graves Mountain Farm and Lodge Apple Festivals, all 3 of them.
All right,
Second.
very well. We have a motion and a second to approve Graves Mountain Farm and Lodge's Apple Harvest Festival. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. All right, the next one, discussion concerning Matt Woods' alternate performance measures.
Yes, you can enlarge that, please, and I'm gonna try my best to not burn Alan's retina while I use the laser pointer. Go to page 2, please. So at your seat, I will explain what I put together. The first 3 pages is email correspondence with Ms. Garveria from Madwood, as well as Mr. Sexton, who's our erosion and sediment program administrator. And then after those 3 pages of emails, you go to the next page. We will reference state code, which is also referenced by Ms. Gaviria in her email. And then lastly, the last page is our county code, section 14-28, when it deals with permits, fees, security for performance as it pertains to erosion and sedimentation. So if you go to page 2, Kim, of the email, Ms. Gaviria is asking for the county to give consideration, instead of providing the traditional, so it says in lieu of obtaining a traditional letter of credit for the full amount, because right now, the county code, and you'll see it here in a minute, we require either surety bond, irrevocable line of credit, cash escrow, those type of things. The state code has here, those items I just referenced, a combination thereof, or another legal arrangement. And she says it's acceptable to the county. And she makes very good points. You know, I think Madwood's been here at least, probably 70 years. Plown Harf, when they laid off a massive amount, I believe that does now make Madwood our #1 private employer. What they're trying to do, in her words, is avoid unnecessary encumbering more than $400,000 of credit capacity and incurring additional banking cost. If you go to Kim, page 1, Joe Sexton basically stated, he appreciates all that. Our county code, which I read section 1428, only allows these things. Ms. Gaviria has asked, would the county consider entering into some other legal agreement? I asked, what that another legal arrangement would look like. She said, they're committed, if something were to go wrong, to cover those costs and do those things. They don't anticipate it, but they would like to consider it. I spoke a little bit briefly today with Mr. Wright and Mr. Gregg about this matter. Kim, go to the state code. Again, just for reference before I go further, they have, let me find it here. All right, so prior to issuance of any permit, the agency may also require an applicant to submit a reasonable performance bond with surety, cash escrow, or a letter of credit, any combination or other legal arrangement that's acceptable to the agency. Now go to county code, please. Section 1428, paragraph E. We do not have that other provision. Ours says a performance bond with surety, cash escrow, or an irrevocable letter of credit acceptable to our administrator. So we don't have that other legal language that the Code of Virginia offers. So right now, I can only operate within the ordinance. I cannot operate outside of the ordinance. So that's where we find ourselves. I believe why this exists, as well as other localities. I looked at Orange, for example. They do a lot of building on especially their eastern part of the county. I would imagine it's because all of those, even if surety is not in their name, surety is in the name of the bond, you have surety by going those routes. For example, the difference in, what's going on with my pointer? I'll just say it. I think the batteries are dead. The difference, like irrevocable letter of credit, that automatically, that establishes amongst the bank, and yes, you will have less of a credit line because that is earmarked, if you will, for that performance. The revocable letter of credit does not have that surety. The bank can cancel it anytime or another party. I'm fine, sir. I appreciate you. Okay, thank you, sir. You get what I call, Kim, the overachiever award. I'm going to start handing those out, so thank you. No, seriously, thank you. So go back, Kim, to, so Joe's response basically said our ordinance doesn't allow it. I also want to mention, we do not have any precedents of this. I try to think, I even asked when's the last time Madwood expanded. I believe maybe in the 90s. I know they renovated and they have a wonderful employee center, if you will, that they can go eat, rest, whatever.
but I think their last biggest expansion were in the 90s, so I'm not sure what the ordinance or zoning or ordinance were required then. I know the last biggest expansion, that's terrible English. The most recent large expansion was Plow and Harf, probably around 2014. We did require a surety bond then. I'll give you some current examples. Samuel James Construction are doing the site work for Joe Ray Daniels for what will be the storage units off Fishbacks. They posted a bond. Even our project over at Outdoor Recreation Center, Walls Excavating, posted a bond. So we don't differentiate. You know, if you want to consider something else, it would require an ordinance amendment. I do not believe we could work outside the ordinance and offer some legal agreement.
Hey, Jonathan,
Mr.
is
Wright?
this the same kind of thing that Mr. Helmy's been trying to get through as well? up there?
Correct,
So he's been working on this for quite some time as well.
correct.
I think Joe nailed it in terms of what the state of the ordinance is versus state code. We talked with Sean Gregg this afternoon about it also. The reason for the county's current ordinance to have bond with surety, cash escrow, or irrevocable letter of credit, of course, is to protect the county in case a project doesn't complete and the county's got to hire somebody to go in, stabilize it, and fix it. Acknowledge Matt Wood is a wonderful corporate citizen for Madison. They didn't propose another legal arrangement. I'm not sure exactly what they've got in mind, but, you know, I think there's good reason for the ordinance the way it is. But it is, you all can expand it if you choose to do so.
Would the, if I may add on, would the expansion mean that they would have to amend the ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah. So I did state to Ms. Scarveria that if it was an ordinance amendment, just to be fair on timelines, because I know time is money and decisions, that, you know, that could be a minimum of 45 to 60 days, if the board would want to entertain an amendment to allow other legal performance arrangements.
Would that be for just for them or?
No, sir, that
around
would,
the room for
open
everybody?
it for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and I'm speaking for myself as citizen and county administrator, not for the board or any other representation. They are a great company. I think they've hired a good contractor. So it isn't the concern necessarily for this project. The ordinance would allow that to opportunity for anyone. You know, whether it's, I mean, we have plenty examples. Folks are trying to do things now. I think the gentleman that's doing the auto repair shop near Prince Michelle, as well as Mr. Helmy, who's out in that neck of the woods. Obviously, the larger disturbance, the number goes up quite a bit, and it can be very costly for your investment when you're trying to make everything else work. So I do recognize and appreciate that. But without an ordinance amendment, our hands are tied.
So Mike, I was looking it up, you know, this afternoon before I came in here. So it says a letter, if you went the letter of credit route, banks typically charge 0.5% to 1% of the letter of credit amount annually, or some banks charge a flat fee. Have you had any experience with letters of credit as opposed to a bond on this?
No, I haven't.
No? I mean, I didn't know whether that would be the cheaper way to go, because that is in our ordinance. But, yeah, I like Mr. Weekly says, the surety of the way we have our ordinances written now, I think we need to stick with it.
Yeah,
I don't
'cause
know.
what do you define as another legal arrangement? What kind of parameters, I mean, what kind of criteria? That's basically open-ended.
Look me in the eye. and
Yeah,
say-
unless you get into like
Yeah.
deed of
Yeah.
trust,
Oh, yeah,
lien
no.
type of stuff.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
really the only thing, and Hannah can speak more intelligent than myself, unless you get into like deed of trust, lien
type of things, which I don't think either party would want to do. I'm not sure if there is another legal arrangement.
Right. Any further comments from the board? I think
I could put my yacht up for
We're taking
collateral.
our corporate citizen is the biggest private employer in the county, and we can't do something to help.
we could.
That's 5%
do
of the time.
something if they're willing to wait 60 days for us
Right.
to craft it,
Yeah.
public hearing and all that, but.
I mean, we're trying to bring business into the county, but now we're trying to stop business. Well, not that we're trying to. It's I know it's in our bylaws and all that, but this is a big project. Like, it's not a house being
It's
built,
a,
and
it's a
not
$10 million
It's
investment.
not $1,000 bond, you know, it's
Right.
like 400,000.
Mr. Ray, this just throw this idea at, but first of all, I'd like to know what this alternative legal arrangement they're proposing. And if it is, and what it is, could we use that as a precedent to say, okay, well, this is how we're gonna handle this exception in the future? I'm just throwing that out.
If I may jump in real quick, they did not offer one. I think they were looking at, can you please talk to your attorney and see if there are legal options for other legal agreements?
I would think that'd have to be well-defined.
I think they would too. And it would, for it to be, to protect the county, which is what I'd be worried about. Is there some collateral that they would put up, I don't know.
But in talking to Ms. Caberia, they're ready to move, right? I mean,
They are, if they're looking at a 45 to 60-day window, they're gonna just have to move along. They're in a tight window to start. Because you've got a construction window that's narrowing down when you're trying to work with the upcoming months.
I think we had this conversation on smaller projects where we've never even had a problem before. So we just have never had a problem where the county had to go and fix something.
Yeah, the only example, there may be a second one, but to my knowledge, out there at Fox Ridge subdivision off of Fishback Road, there was some work out there on the roadway. We had to hold the parts of the bond to finish that out. But that's the only example I can think of. There may be more beyond my years of knowledge, but that is an
It's not typically
example.
something that happens.
Correct.
Huh?
And probably not with them either.
Right, yeah, the likelihood that something will happen with their project is, probably almost nil, but, but the surety of it, I think, is their responsibility, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever. So, general consensus from the board is we stick with their ordinances.
Thing I would throw out there, and I'm really not trying to put you on the spot, you can say, yes, you are, because I did mention this to Carrie, and I made no promises, and she didn't really make any comment about it. Boards, when they deal with incentives, sometimes kind of the world you would live in is, if you're generating, you're adding a lot of real estate, right? So there's some value in that. Is there a sliding scale where your amount of investment equals a certain tax deferment, if you will, over a period of time, and then you get the full amount? That hasn't been defined yet. I'm not saying you need to define that, but that's generally when you're looking at incentives. And that's probably why other localities don't have the other legal arrangements, at least to my knowledge of like our neighboring counties, like Culpeper and Orange and Fauquier. They, along with Harrisonburg, have the same language as us. But that may be something that the EDC, as an advisory committee to the BOS, wants to look at. But those are more, I would say, another avenue if you wanted to help a business.
I'm sure she has a legal team that she should charge them with it, find something that can help the county let us not have this $401,000 bond. So, I mean, I'm hoping that she's asking them. And
Right.
then come back to our attorney and see if this is something we work out quickly.
Right.
But I guess that's where I would leave it.
I think you would still, while I appreciate Mr. Buchanan's comment, I think we would still have to
to allow for that other legal agreement, you'd have to do a modification or amendment to the ordinance, is that correct?
It's true. I mean, I was thinking, like the cash escrow, or letter of credit, where you've got something where you've got to commit the funds, can you do it in something like a CD where they get the interest from it, but it's still essentially our CD, they just get it whenever it's over, they get that money back. That's the only thing I can sort of think of that makes sense for the county, but I don't know. I don't know. If we're trying to be too creative here, I don't know.
Within the confines of our ordinance at this. All right, well, then, you gonna talk to Carrie tomorrow and ask her to, see if their legal team can come up with something.
Is it phased, or is it all just one big project?
I think they would like to do it as all one big project. I can ask to see what was submitted. I believe during their, I think it was a site plan approval, whatever this body heard, they may at least start with like 3 buildings. I think they were working through property acquisition at that time, so.
Yeah.
Do we have a picture of that we could put up, just in case?
Of their proposed work or just the layout?
Well, the time frame for their project is, what? Will it take them a year to get this done? You think?
I'm not certain.
It's.
There's, I think, like 5
But
buildings.
it's just
or
big
so.
warehouses, so.
I mean, if we could bring up GIS and kind of show you the footprint, because it's essentially the former Hoots property.
I
Wish they put a wall
They were just covers, weren't they? Yeah. They weren't enclosed buildings, they were just covers, weren't they?
Right,
Yeah,
they're
they're 3-sided.
three-sided.
Three-sided?
Yeah, and they're trying to not queue traffic on 29 or even in their driveway, and bring them in, ship and receive, and be a little better. 'Cause right now, it's trucks and forklifts all over the place.
Yep.
Well, not to get off too far of a tangent, but going back to what you said about tax incentives, if you remember 2 years ago when we looked at the technology corridor study, we looked at how neighboring localities offered incentives, and some of those incentives were based on the amount of investment and how much additional employment it would bring to the locality. So that's probably something we should look at, an overall policy of tax incentives in the EDC, not just for this type of project, but, projects based on increasing employment, capital investment, extra incentive for technology or whatever. So I think it's something we should look at for the future. You agree, Mr. Chairman? Okay.
Yeah,
Mike,
absolutely.
what do you think?
Chairman, if I may, because I'm making notes.
Yeah.
It was the pleasure of the board, I guess I just want to capture that. I know you started asking, or there was reference about asking her if her legal team would put forth
To Judd's point.
a suggestion so we can have our legal review and then bring that back to the board, or I just want to make sure I capture your directives.
Huh? I mean, unless they could come up with something like Hannon was talking about within the confines. Could her attorneys come up with something within the confines of our ordinance?
See, so the letter of credit would be different, because that letter of credit is
Yeah.
with a banking institution.
Right.
So I don't know if we can muffle with that, muffle may not be a better term, but can massage that in here or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally would
I
like to
think-
have had a little bit more time to digest this whole thing other than sitting here right now, to be quite honest. If they could come back, at our next meeting, we can discuss it again, because, once again, I just saw this, so I haven't looked at any of
Yeah, me
this and
too.
really had a time to really think
Plus-
about it, so that's the way I like to say it.
Yeah. So again, going back to, our last page, which is in your handout,
Yeah.
paragraph E, I mean, that's,
It is what, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't see where we have.
I mean, we can bring it back, but what I'm
Choice.
saying is that doesn't change the,
But to stick with
paragraph
the
E.
ordinance at this point.
At this point.
I think we need
Yeah, I think you need to relay the that we have no other choice but to stick with our ordinance at this point. We can't operate outside our ordinances. Right. Yeah, Jonathan already told her that.
Yeah, I told her that, and that would be assuming one
That we would come up with
planning
something.
commission workshop, and then you're going straight to a public hearing, and
We wouldn't have to go through planning commission on this one,
Yeah.
because it's not a zoning ordinance. That would,
so you still have to advertise for a public hearing. All right, so that would shorten it. That would
but you
be,
still need a month at a
yeah, because there's that two separate advertisements, so many days
Yeah,
apart.
not to mention the fact that we gotta come up with some other illegal arrangement that is acceptable to the county.
Yeah,
as you
yeah,
can, right?
like Hannah's saying, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Kind of, so you're still close to that 45-day window.
Right. So, our apologies, but,
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. They are a good employer.
Yeah.
I know
Oh,
a
yeah, no
lot of
question.
people that work over there, a lot of people. It's just,
There almost should be a cap, on how much anybody would have to pay for this. But I guess if you're doing a project.
depends on.
yeah, and it's
how much
usually the
dirt you're
engine.
moving
Just
around.
say, what about if a data center were to come in here? And I mean, they would be liable for the same thing. I'm just saying, I mean,
Mike,
I'm not saying no to anything.
pitchforks are
but-
coming.
But generally, it's the engineer
Somebody throwing
that
something?
calculates the infrastructure investment, and then they say, hey, this is your bond.
What about a huge turkey house?
There you go.
How's that?
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's something
We
besides
have
what I
two of
said.
those in the county.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of
Okay.
risk in doing other arrangements.
Okay. All right, I will relay that message. I do
Okay.
appreciate the board hearing
Yeah.
that request.
All right. So we move on to information correspondence with VDOT updates.
Well, first, what wasn't in my report, Mr. Snyder, I try to work on them getting that median cleared. The first day they did it, I thought that's only about a quarter way that you could see, but they did come out and cut at least a lot of the southbound area of Route 29. So I gave you notice that based upon your approval of the four-way stop there at Novum Church Road and Novum Road, they have been advertising for that intersection change, which is basically taking it to a four-way stop. I really appreciate them doing that. I think it's at least a step in the right direction. Hopefully, there won't have to be any other improvements unless the landowner decides to take that old building down. But at least you'll have some signage that hopefully people pay attention to. There are additional intersections that were requested for review. Again, last time I told you I had provided some plats that showed VDOT right-of-way. The intersection of Ridgeview and Hoover Road, they have confirmed that the power pole and fencing site issue, that is out of the VDOT right-of-way. So we will actually work with VDOT as well as contact that property owner, see if they'd be willing to help in that situation. They were still reviewing the intersection of Hoover and Arrington Mountain to see if they had the right, or the amount of right-of-way. Do they need to cut some trees down? So I said, just please let me know when you know, so we can, again, if we're contacting landowners, we'll go do the work. That part doesn't bother me. I actually like to make contact and explain the project. We've had several accidents since, we did our route around. I could think of at least two at Ridgeview and Hoover. It's not getting any better. So we'll stay on it and keep you updated as we go along. Also, I was recently given information, or given notice by both Sean Nelson, who's Kerry's boss. Everybody seems to report to Mr. Nelson in the Culpeper headquarters. Ms. Shepherd made me aware as well. There's what they're calling temporary realignment of VDOT personnel. Sean's getting pulled to another position. I can't say it's a cabinet position, but I know it's a higher position temporary, so that'll cause some shuffling. His assistant, which is a Madison resident, Stacy Laundry, who's out in Crigglesville area, she will be moving into the temporary role of Sean Nelson's position. Ms. Shepherd will be moving from her her current position to a temporary position, which was the assistant, which was Stacy's position. And we will now be given Mr. Greg Cooley. So Mr. Cooley will be here at your September 8th meeting. Some of the things, I'm going to connect with him before that meeting, some of the things that I have shared with Ms. Shepherd as well as our local superintendent, Mr. Gore. I'm dissatisfied with the mowing. I'm dissatisfied that there's not clearing around signs, whether it's speed limit or chevrons or any of those things. Often are blocked. The overgrowth's unreal. Mr. Jewett and I stopped there at Locust Dale, and you can hardly see the red in the stop sign at times. It's very bad. It's unsafe. And this tree debris that just lingers. We appreciate clearing of the roads, whether it's a citizen, a farmer on a tractor, or VDOT, but quite often it gets cut up and thrown to the shoulders, and it's just there. We were told, I think back in May, that it was complete. And what I shared with Ms. Shepherd is I'm not going to be petty and bring them things necessarily of a storm that just happened like a Sunday or two ago. We had some rough storms. I'm talking about tree debris that's been there 2 years or more, that the mowing crews mow around, and it just lays there, and you get more overgrowth, and then it clogs up your drainage ditch, which they're supposed to be about positive drainage. So that and just maintaining roads overall. I know that's not on our topics for our legislators on Thursday. Maybe we should talk about it, fit it in there somewhere, or I can get in their ear at a later time. But I don't know if it's a lack of funding. I feel like we have a lack of labor here as well as a lack of equipment. Our headquarters has a lot less equipment than it did in the 90s. For example, the great all that gets used, the clear ditches and does other things, that's a shared resource. That is not just a solely Madison asset. We outsource the mowing. I learned from Mr. Gore, our superintendent of Madison headquarters, that there's a contractor that covers Green and Madison. So it's not like, I think it was Misha or something like that prior, which was the old VDOT headquarters beside the state police. Used to do it all, now it's separate. But I just want our roads to be more attentive. I don't think that's too much to ask. So I plan on catching Mr. Cooley before the meeting, so you can kind of learn about not only my soapbox, but issues that you all have brought as well, so they can get it cleaned up. Shelby Road was one. Can you guys cut Shelby Road? And they were out there with sickle bars, and it's all out in the road. I know 231, the Turnpike, I think they're gonna do next week. But it's just a lack of, I'm not faulting these guys out here. I don't know where the hierarchy lays on these issues, but it's ridiculous and quite frankly embarrassing when you drive around our county.
What's their schedule, twice a year? Is that what their schedule is?
Kerry told me at one time, at least I know the main roads, that they do it 3 times a year. And as a resident here, I don't think I see them on our major corridors 3 times a year. I think they need to have a standard. I know, just like our mowing crew, which has a lot less to mow, you're looking at the weather, when you can get out there or whatever, but there should be some height standard. I mean, I don't know if Yoder's hire somebody to bush hog right in front of their business, but I can't blame them for the amount of traffic goes in there, but it's dangerous. We have, your request was a reasonable request. We just had a smart scale improvement at that intersection to do what? To let sight distance become an issue because of vegetation. It's just mind blowing.
Did you ask them about that?
Yes. Yes. So that's why, I believe why they cleared that. So.
Well, maybe the change of the guard will have some.
I will say I'm getting weekly updates again, which is good, so we can push those out to our first responding agencies. So if there's a closure, like there's going to be a temporary closure, probably for a couple of weeks with, I think it's Locust Grove Church Road upcoming. So we get that now. It had been a while. We need to be able to plan for those things. So I just want our
better care of our county.
All right, back to public comment. Seeing none. And
Do have Clay Jackson online, but he has not made a comment, sir.
very good. All right, hearing none, then we will close public comment. We do have a closed session. Who's got you got the motion for the closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 for personnel.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. Okay, motion carries. We are in closed session.